I thought I'd pop on and do a live as I do. I'm going to see if I can sit on the bench and do this one so that my head isn't going all over the place. I can't see the screen because of the light, but that's fine. So this one's entitled, guys, what's your game plan? Now the reason I want to talk about this is I've been watching and observing some instances or incidents or whatever you want to call them of people generally, because I do love a bit of a people watch, and it's quite interesting when you sit and observe what people get up to. I did a live quite a while ago now talking about the spiritual movement, and it was kind of like how we got, or me definitely, how I got to this place where I am now around spiritual movement. And if you think about, I mean, I'm 50, I still can't believe that. I really can't believe that. I really do not understand where the time has gone. And if you sit and think about my generation, my mum's generation, my mum's generation, and the society that we were brought up in, and the values that we were brought up in, are remarkably different from what society dictates as a value or standard today. And what I'm noticing quite a lot actually is this. So back in my mum's day, when they went through the war, they were just happy to be alive, to be honest. So they had gratitude for like practically everything going. They were happy to be alive. They was happy to even just get through another day when all that kind of stuff was going on. And then obviously there was the rations, so they had to, you know, really think about what they was doing on a daily basis, just for pure survival really, when you think about it. And then you got like my mum, she was a war baby as well. She was a war baby, so she would have seen some of that, but she would have been brought up on different principles, in so much as everything was about family, everything was about community, and you looked out for one another. That's what you did. You looked out for one another, because when the wars were going on, you know, from my nan and my great nan, that would have been something that was instilled in them, that you looked out for everybody, and that's what you did. And then that came down to my generation, with the rising of Maggie Thatcher and everything about Maggie. I mean, whether you love Maggie or hate Maggie is irrespective, but you know, she changed the nation's mindset, because she gave people, working class people, hope. She told these people that, you know, there is hope out there for you. You can do more than just be a working class individual. You can strive for more. You can get more. So what that did is that then created a society where everybody started to just look out for themselves. They weren't looking out for each other anymore. And we went from family values, community-based communities, to very much people just looking out for themselves on a silo basis, because they were striving to succeed. And they were striving for somebody else's vision, which was all around money. So then what we have a situation now where you've got people are climbed the ladder, climbed the corporate ladder, and they started to earn lots of money, and then the children came along, so they have children. Now, back in my mum's day, children would, you know, you'd stay at home and look after your children. But when we got to the late 80s, 90s and 2000s, actually what happened was because people were chasing money and trying to keep up with the Joneses, left, right and centre, because that's what was validating their existence, because that's what they had been conditioned to do through the movement, they had these children at home, but they all had to go back to work. Childminders started looking after children, and because parents had this subconscious guilt going on, that they've had these children and then they're leaving them with somebody else to bring them up, basically, because that's what happens. So they just give them everything. And it was one of the, with me, it was I don't ever want my daughter to struggle, so to speak. I don't want, you know, my grandkids to struggle. And that's kind of like the mentality. So what you do is you tend to just give them stuff. And it's not even stuff they need, you just give them. You give them. Now, when my daughter was growing up, I wasn't able to do the whole let me just give you everything you want, because I was a single parent struggling, you know, just to make ends meet, let alone anything else, while I was working out my game plan of how I was going to fulfill this dream that Maggie gave me, you know. But then these kids, what happens with these kids is they've all got this sense of entitlement, and they all feel like they're just entitled to something, that life owes them something and life must give them something. But because they haven't been taught about values, family values, community values, the kind of values that we had when we were growing up, they don't quite understand, and everything was just being given to them on a plate. They don't quite understand that actually you need to work for that stuff. No one comes along and just gives you a business. No one just comes along and gives you a job that you can earn 50, 60, 70, 80 grand a year on. You have to work your way up. So what you see is you see these kids, these collectives, they're all knocking about with each other. They've all got this chip on their shoulder with this sense of entitlement. Oh, we're entitled to this, we're entitled to that. So you get one lot of them, don't they? They just go off and do what they do. And this is, I'm sure this is where a lot to do with where the gangs and stuff comes from. I mean, don't quote me on that. I'm just surmising because I'm looking at society generally, because I've been through so many changes with it now. Because I'm an old girl. Well, not quite that. I'm not quite an old girl, not quite yet. Yeah, I don't give in yet. So, and there they are. Hello, Jackie. Look at you. I'm on my live.
Are you
I'm on a live. Look. Say hello. How you doing? I'm
right.
just sitting. Just come and join me.
It's my birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. It's Jackie's birthday. Say hello.
Hello.
So here I am. Come and join me. I'm talking about.
What are you talking about today?
I'm talking about get your game plan on. Can't rotate your device. And I've just been talking about.
Yeah.
Get your game plan on.
Yeah.
This is not going to work, I don't think.
No, it's all right. You just stay on you.
Right, so
I'll just be in the background.
Okay, so I'm talking about getting your game plan on, and I'm talking about society. Being an old bird, I've gone through quite a lot of societal changes, and I was talking about the generations, how basically my great nan would have gone through a war.
Yeah.
My nan would have gone through a war.
Yeah.
My mum would have been a war baby, and the mindset about all of those things was about community spirit, looking out for each other because of what they was being brought up in. Yeah. Then I was talking about, as we get into the later stages of my existence on this planet, basically what we have is a situation where Maggie came into force, and like me and many other people, we saw a hope all of a sudden. So working class people decided actually we can go and get something for ourselves. But what that did is it diminished the family values and the community spirit that we all had. Yeah, because all of a sudden we're chasing money and we're after, it's all about me now. Yeah. Right? What happens then is that's then transposed onto the children in a way where, because you've gone out and you've earned all this money and you're keeping up with the Joneses and you don't have this sense of family anymore, kids come into play. And what you do is you palm these kids off, childminders and the likes, where before your mum would be at home looking after the family. These kids have grown up with this sense of entitlement because the guilt factor with the adults, where they've just piled everything onto them and said, have this, have this, have this. Subconsciously, they've done it. And subconsciously, they didn't want their children to, what they term as, suffer like I did. when actually there was no bloody suffering.
Yeah.
And that's where I got to, and then you popped up. And I was saying,
I was thinking, that's Angela, isn't it?
this is just classic. But then I was just about to talk about the gangs, because I think this sense of entitlement, they seem to think that they can just take stuff. Everything's an instant, isn't it, nowadays? Everything's just an instant. And because us as parents, and I think I've been guilty of it, not when my daughter was growing up, because I was always skint. I was a single parent skint.
Yeah.
But as she got older, I tended to fall into a little bit of that mentality. And people have kind of like bought their children's affection. Not really, not on a malice, not from malice. They think they was doing the right thing. So these kids have got this sense of entitlement and this chip on their shoulder. And then they think that someone's just going to go, there you go, have that job and earn 60 grand a year, forgetting that actually behind all of this, you have to bloody work for it.
But don't you think that you, even though you may have done that, because I was a single parent as well,
Yeah.
is that like, but you've taught them, because you're a single parent, you've talked to them more about, you know, money and about, you know, hardship and about not hardship and all that kind of thing. Don't you think you did that?
Yes, I don't think, I think I could have done it more, personally, if we're going to talk about what I did. I think I could have done more, and I think that I did mine more by action. So going to uni, working, twice I've been to university, working, climbing the corporate ladder. I wanted to say, look, this is an option. You don't, just because you're in a single parent environment, it doesn't mean you're on the scrap heap.
Exactly.
Which is back then what people would have assumed you were.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
So yeah.
You're right.
No, I did.
At the time, it was scapegoating single parents at the time.
Absolutely.
You know, and like really, I went back to college, went to uni, built myself up to a senior manager, then left.
Yeah.
Became a personal trainer. I said, yes, life begins.
But did you left because of, I think you did something very similar to me, and I could be mistaken, right? Because I think that you became more aware that actually there's more to life than climbing the ladder, and being in a culture which is very, very harsh, or can be, and there are no values. And not the ones like we were brought up.
Exactly. And the thing is that, you know, especially because I worked in drug and alcohol services, people cannot be targets. People cannot be targets. And I went into that kind of work to help the people, not to, you know, start going, oh, this is a target, and telling staff you've got 100 people to get in off drugs. And we ain't got a wand. You know, all that kind of thing. And like you say, it didn't. The values that they had didn't align with mine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we kind of like both did the same thing. So I suppose the point of this live then is called What's Your Game Plan? Because this is really a message for you younger ones, really, because if you are part of the movement that I've just described, and you know, and you are with a peer group of people that maybe just see you, let's reword this. If you just look at the people that you're hanging around with, because if they are aspiring to something on the sideline and you're just being used as the party girl or whatever that could be, what's your game plan? Because only you as individuals can actually get yourself to where you want to be. No one now is going to come along and give you diddly squat. You know, you've had your luxuries, guys. And now it's about graft, and I think personally, I could be wrong, but I think personally that the tide is changing where this is all concerned, and I think there's more of a drive now to go back to that community spirit and back to that family values and looking out for each other. You know, there's no more of this things going to be handed to you on a plate. So I think that was really my message. And now what beautiful way to end though, to bump into Jackie. We're over the field, she's riding her bike getting all fit, I'm supposed to be going to fucking work. And we've just done an impromptu. So on that note, I bid you good day. Bye bye.